Welcome, everybody. I am so excited to be here. This is the women's game, and we are live. It is just minutes after the final whistle of the USA versus Zambia game at the 2024 Paris Olympics, in which the US beat Zambia 3-0. I'm feeling so relieved that we won, so relieved that we scored 3 goals. I'm also feeling like I just studied for the SATs all night because I watched 6 soccer games today. But I'm so ready to be here with you all. After the last few scoreless games for this U.S. women's national team, this felt incredible to watch the goals fly in and the celebrations that followed. Really a chance to exhale after some nerves coming into the tournament. And we are going to break down this incredible performance from the U.S. women's national team. But first, let me introduce my guest today. I'm here with my friend, U.S. women's national team and Gotham FC forward, Midge Purce, who will be helping me break down this game. Midge, I am so happy that you're here.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for, you have me up here on game 1. I feel very honored about that.
I feel honored that you're here with me. I'm so excited to do this with you. I feel like you're just the perfect companion to start this off.
Okay, well, let's get it because I have so many things to say and I'm so excited.
Oh my God, let's get it. Okay, so we are here to break down the game. We are live moments after the final whistle. We are recording this in real time. As I explained to Midge before we got on here, this is live. Like we're really doing this right this second. This is a Do It Live presented by our great friends at Olipop, our favorite thing to drink. This means you can ask us questions about soccer, about life. You can ask us whatever you want. Here is how. Scan the QR code in the top left of your screen. It will take you into a Zoom with our wonderful producer, Tony, who will get you set up to ask your question directly to us a little bit later in this episode. It's audio only, so don't be afraid. You're not going to be on screen. We're going to get to those questions in just a few minutes, but go ahead and get in line now to make sure you get yours in there. For those of you who don't want to ask a question, that's okay. Do us a huge favor anyways, and just give us a like. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join us on this channel where we have all of our women's Olympic coverage dropping around each and every U.S. women's national team game. Turn those notifications on and get an alert every time we go live. I see some of you in the chat already. I see Ann Flores, Chuck Norris sleeps under Midge Purce blankets with Sam Mewis pillowcases. First one I saw.
Wow.
Yeah, the chat's going off, everybody.
Let me get a blanket. Wait, I want to see the chat, Sam. Share more chat things.
Oh my God. Yes, let's share some more chat things with Midge. Midge, I don't know how to tell you how to see the chat.
So just share one more. Tell me one more.
Share one more. Share one more. Let me see. Yay, Midge. Another Gotham girl baddie. Love seeing all the Gotham girls on the pitch. That one's from JSR.
That was very cool. Very cool. Especially Jenna going in at left forward up top. I was like, whoa, that's a switch up. And then Crystal's up top. And then I'm like, is this Gotham? And I'm like, wait, no.
I feel like we're all just playing wherever our heart tells us to play. And I love it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, was that a Gotham front line at the end? It was.
Oh my gosh. It was. Was it Jenna, Lynn, and Crystal?
Yes. Bats fly together. Go Bats.
Oh my gosh, I freaking love that. Okay, the chat's popping off. Your questions are going to start coming in. Have chatting with Tony. We are going to get to your questions in just a few minutes. But Midge, let's dive into the game. The U.S. played their first Olympics game today against Zambia in France. Before the game even started, we got word that Jaden Shaw was unavailable due to a leg injury and that she'd be replaced on the roster today by Croy Bethune, Washington Spirit rookie who's having the season of her life in the NWSL. Tough news to hear at the outset, but Midge, Croy Bethune is a player in such great form right now. Were you surprised to see her as that first one slotted into the roster or not surprised at all?
No. Because this is the second player who's got elevated from that status of alternate too. So she was the next best option. I couldn't even think of anybody else. Honestly, I all year have been saying this girl is so good. I've been wanting to see more of her with the national team. I wish she had more than one cap. I would love to see more of her. And I'm just gutted for Jaden because
I know
what a journey she has had to this moment. And I know she's going to have such a great career and she's going to have a great Olympics. I don't even need to look that far ahead, but I can't imagine how. Actually, I can. I know exactly. I can't imagine.
Midge, keeping it real out here.
I can
Midge, unfortunately, can't imagine.
That being said, like you said, no, Croy, I think she's dirty. I think she's nasty. And I was a little hopeful to
know.
More. But she's got a crazy career ahead of her. We already know.
I know. Well, best wishes to Jaden. It was a bummer to see her out, but hopefully it's quick. And now we can just circulate this roster all around. We've got all these new Olympians. Another quick note in the lineup was that Crystal Dunn started at left back instead of Jenna Neiswanger. We just touched on this a little bit, but Jenna's been the regular starter there really all year. And Jenna is also your teammate at Gotham Midge. So what do you think led to this decision to start Crystal over Jenna? Was it the opponent? Was it just getting some more experience out there for the first game? Do you think that Crystal has been performing really well enough to earn that starting spot back? What's your gut on this one?
I absolutely have no idea. Mostly because I'm not great at Emma Hayes is I think she's really good at letting you know exactly what she wants you to know. And then if you're not supposed to know it, you don't know it. So, I mean, if I had to speculate, I would say because Crystal does have more experience, would be kind of like the second prong and not more the first prong. I would imagine that the primary reason that she got the start was because she could handle defensively more what Zambia probably has to offer.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think that Jenna is such an attacking minded. It's ridiculous to not say that about Crystal Dunn, who's like a forward and a midfielder and an outside back. But Jenna just plays so high up the field that I kind of agree, against such a great transitional team, maybe having a little bit more experience and a little bit more of just that defensive kind of natural tendency in Crystal was the play there.
That being said, I will say that I think because Crystal is so good defensively that we do not give her enough credit offensively. I mean, in the first 5 minutes, we had 5 people on that back line and she was completely rotated up, given the freedom. She hasn't historically been given the freedom to go forward in the way that Jenna has under this, for lack of a better word, new regime. And it was really exciting to see her with that freedom this year and in the tactics that they're playing. I mean, Crystal was an MVP in the NWSL as a forward.
I know.
And I think, and it's crazy that like the short memory, like the goldfish fans that we have who cannot remember this, it's actually nuts. So, I mean, I think while it is a decision because defensively she gives you a little bit more, I think you don't lose anything attacking wise.
Well, totally agree. And that's actually kind of my next point. Like, we started off the game with immediate chances. We had this near goal as Emily Fox from an outside back position carved up multiple defenders in the box. She slotted Lindsay Horan for a just missed attempt. Sophia Smith had a shot on target. Crystal Dunn had a shot on target. We hit the crossbar a couple of times, all within the first 10, 15 minutes. I think it started us off so positively. We're coming off this Costa Rica game where we just couldn't score. We had like 26 shots that game. And all the talk in the media is like, this team really has trouble scoring, which pains me to hear. And I'm wondering, Midge, as a forward, missing 5-6 chances early on in the game, does that kind of reinforce in these players' heads that there's been a struggle to score? Or does it actually kind of reinforce, okay, we're creating chances, we've got this, one of these is about to go in?
I think with the context that you just acknowledged, with the fact that in the past games they had so many chances they were hitting crossbars, I think it gives a little PTSD. I think you're kind of like, oh my gosh, not again. How could I have hit the crossbar again?
I know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's how I would feel. I would be like, I'm getting pulled.
Well, like, yeah, is it also like, oh yeah, everybody was right to doubt us? Like, we can't score. We just keep missing it. Is this going to be another game like this?
Sam, why ask this question when you know the answer? You have literally been in this situation and you know this is not how we think.
It's been so long, Midge. I just don't know anymore.
You know this is not how we think. No, I think for a split moment you're like, oh my gosh, but you know when you're out there, we have to get the job done. You find a way. Like nothing else matters. Those friendlies, those other matches, it's time to put it away. And you know this. I
know. You're right. I think that's what was so important about kind of opening those floodgates. But before we get to that, a quick note on Zambia. Around some of these chances, they just had so many numbers in the box. They were actually like, there was consecutive goal line clearances from Zambia. They were clearing the ball off the goal line as if it was like a warm-up drill. As a forward, Midge, how do you think about breaking down a team like this? I know that Zambia, for parts of the game, were actually pressing us high and they were spaced out. But moments in the game when they just have so many numbers back around their goal, blocking shots, clogging up the spaces. If you're a forward and you're trying to create, do you want to be like left alone to take somebody on to do your magic? Or are you trying to have a bunch of other of your teammates come and overload and bring numbers forward?
I think it depends on who my outside back is. If I'm like, I'm like, y'all, this is a mismatch. Like, stay away. Like that it depends on who the outside back is. If I'm like, oh, like we may need to do a little 1-2 around her. She's pretty decent. I'm like, come a little closer. I think it's interesting because, and we can talk about Trin, and her goal was disgusting. Like I loved every moment of it. It's nasty. And her, like, before she scored that goal, and I felt this way about kind of the last couple of games, she's been combining a little bit more than she has been taking on in that final third. And then she scored that goal, and I think she took two people on the wing at the same time. Like she bridged one, passed it on one side, ran around the other, like a couple more megs. She's always taking on. She's always has that attitude and like that, I'm a badass, I'm going to do that. But I think that it's just what the game gives you and like what you're on in that moment. If you can go 1v1, which to answer your question, a long-winded question, I would prefer to go 1v1. Even if I lost 2 1v1s, give me 2 more. I need to figure it out.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it depends kind of. It's like you don't necessarily want help if there's space behind your defender for you to just beat her and then you're in, or you can cross free or dribble. But when whatever, if they have support, if that isn't on necessarily, you do want to sometimes create those numbers up situations out wide. You mentioned Trinity's goal, and it's perfect timing, Midge, because this is actually our Olipop moment of the match. I need to actually open my Olipop because I don't know what I'm going to be drinking this whole show.
Wait, how did you choose that? Okay, tell me the map.
How did I choose Trinity's goal as the Olipop moment of the match? Let me tell you, Midge. I'm going to talk us through the goal first. In the 17th minute, Trinity Rodman receives a beautiful pass right into the middle of the field where she like kind of Cruyff turn receives it. Like her first receiving touch is like a Cruyff turn. This Cruyff turn is also known as the Trin spin. I have learned on Twitter. It was really, really sick. She kind of just like turns as she receives the ball, finishes it straight down the middle. And the moment, this is why I picked this as the Olipop moment of the match. It was so vital to mitigate the questions that are coming at the team about their ability to finish chances. It's the moment in this tournament where I think the weight is going to be have gotten lifted off of this team's shoulders. All of the pressure. Why couldn't we finish against Costa Rica? Why did we only score 1 goal against Mexico? We have a new coach. We have a young team. Trinity silenced all the doubts, I think. It was a brilliant turn, a pretty simple finish, but it just takes this weight off our shoulders. We really, really just needed that first goal. So, Midge, I want to know what you saw from Trin in the run up to that goal, and what do you think the team might have felt when that first one went in?
Honestly, the run up to the goal, my eyes were on Soph, and I'll say that because Soph was involved in all 3 goals, and we can talk about that later, but I think she's so good at creating those types of moments, and she doesn't get enough credit for that like playmaking kind of like finesse that she has. She only gets credit for when she scores goals. But honestly, Trinity, she had 2 people on her, not a lot of space. The only way she could get out of that was being special. And she was special in that moment. And she did something that was sick. I'm sure Adidas will be using that in some kind of marketing ploy. If they're smart, like there should be a t-shirt that says the Trin spin, like first Olympic goal. Like it's a huge moment. Yeah, I mean,
you've got a merch mind.
Merch isn't hard. I don't know why people struggle with merch. I'm baffled when I see like bad merch. I'm like, this it's kind of like a give me. Trin spin, it's already trending on Twitter. Just put it on a t-shirt. Anywho, yeah, it was fantastic. I think though, this is why I asked why that's your moment. Because my moment, I can't decide if it's Mal's first goal or the second goal. I actually can't.
Well, let's talk about them both. The first one was Lindsay played her in with this incredible pass at the outside of her right foot to make it 2-0. And then just 66 seconds later, Mal scores again, Midge. I want to hear your takes on those goals and why you might have chosen one or the other as your Olipop moment of the match.
Okay, takes on those goals first. Sophia Smith passed it to Lindsay in both.
And you're right. For a forgotten statistic, a hockey assist.
She had the hockey assist for the first goal, the second goal, and she had the assist for the third goal. And it is so crazy to me that listen, if you like people just they don't see, like, if you don't know the game, I feel like you don't recognize how nuts that is to play that big of a part in all three goals, because like we only see who's finishing it and we see the assists, but she really is creating spaces and like driving at the back line, winning the ball, going up, like finding the right pass, being selfless. And it's such a shame she came out of the game early. But okay, Mal, because this is a beautiful moment. This is a moment that wraps up a beautiful story, and I'm into storylines. Like it's literally it's so heartening and heartwarming. Yeah. Like we saw the moment where like I'm gonna make this really dramatic. Ready? We saw the moment when her world collapsed.
Yeah.
And then we saw when she picked up the pieces and put it back together on one of the biggest stages in global football. It's beautiful. And like anyone who knows Mal knows she's like so kind and just had her head down and was working through all of it, and like can't imagine how hard it was. But that's why for me that was a huge moment.
I know. It was such a huge moment, and I do want to just briefly go back over what Mal has been through. So she's a young star heading into the Olympics in 2016. She actually is kind of injured throughout that tournament, probably didn't have the impact that she wanted. The team didn't do great. I was there, so we definitely didn't crush it. Then we go into the 2019 World Cup, and Mal, again, leading into the tournament, is kind of this assured starter, but she ends up not starting at that tournament. She's on the bench a lot. We end up winning, but she just didn't get to play the role that she would have wanted. Then she doesn't make the Olympics roster in 2021. Then she's in the form of her life in April, heading into the 2023 World Cup, and she gets injured. She ends up being out for about a year. She got an infection. She had to have 3 surgeries. And now, 8 years since her original Olympic debut, she's back. She's in the form of her life. She's running the show. 2 goals inside 2 minutes. How do you think that Mal is feeling after all of that struggle, the grind back from injury, watching goals just fly into the back of the net?
Knowing Mal, I've known Mal since I feel like, I don't know how old she was, maybe like 15. I've known Mal. I think she's feeling extremely humbled by all of the success she's having. Yes, I think she feels so much gratitude and is just well positioned to go forward. And I couldn't be happier for her.
I know. She's incredible. We had her as a guest on one of our podcasts, Friendlies, earlier this year, and she talked us through the injury. And I think that she is somebody who has handled all of her success so well, and also handled all of the downs so well, with a sense of like grace and gratitude, and coming around to being in this kind of form right now is exactly what this U.S. women's national team needs. We're still in the first half. Mal actually drew a foul from Zambia's Pauline Zulu, who got a red card. This is a really tough call for Zambia. They're already down 3-0. Now they're playing with 10. But it almost came as no surprise. All of our attacks were really coming down that left-hand side. That combination of Mal Swanson, Sophia Smith, Lindsay Horan, Crystal Dunn was so dangerous, and Zulu was playing in that kind of right center back position. So she was just kind of trying to defend this incredible attack over and over and over. Midge, what are your thoughts on Zambia in this situation? Getting a red card, already down 3-0. Have you ever gotten a red card? Like, what does that do to a team?
Why did I think it was Soph in my head? It was Soph. It's Mal, right?
I think it was Mal.
Anywho, yeah, I've gotten 2 red cards in my life. Proud of one, not so proud of the other. My dad's proud of one too.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's saying a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Wait, I feel like we need some context here.
Another time.
Another time. What do you think this does to a team like Zambia, though, in this situation?
No, it's a gut punch. I think it's completely deflating, and it's not even about the scoreline. It's like now it's one of those hindrances that once it's piled on, it's almost like the straw that breaks the camel's back. But I will say that and say that they never relented. They like for the entire game.
They didn't even let up any more goals.
No. And if you look statistically at teams who tend to go down a man, it's usually the other team that has a tougher time like staying at the level that they are and like playing really well, mostly because it's like this psychological thing where you're like, we're a man up and oh my gosh, you don't have to try as hard, and it's subconscious no matter how much your coach yells at you and your captain's telling you to like stay focused. It's deflating. I didn't want it to be a red card. I was like, that's no fun. That's not exciting. So it sucked.
I know. We actually already got a question about this on our YouTube page from Margie Carter, who said, Sammy, could you guys explain the official rule on the red card against Zulu? Something about Zulu being the last defender. My understanding is that when it's the last defender, if it's outside the box, it's a red card. But if it's inside the box, it's a yellow card because it's also a PK. And you'd almost be getting punished like more than is actually warranted to lose a player and give up a penalty kick, which it's a really interesting rule. And that's my understanding of the play of how it happened. We also got another great comment from Laura Brevet saying Midge needs to come on Friendlies and tell us all about the red cards, which I agree with, Midge. Do you think you're down for that?
Needs to come on what?
Friendlies, our podcast.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Amazing. Okay. We'll book it right after this. Okay, so shortly before halftime, Sophia Smith went down injured. She had to be subbed off the field. We saw your Gotham teammate and my podcast co-host, Lynn Williams, sub onto the field. Before we get to Lynn, you mentioned Soph's playmaking ability a little bit. So, Midge, just mention one more time, like Soph's role in this game and Soph's role for this team as a 9 who can score goals. She clearly can also be a provider, be this hockey assist person. How vital is Soph? And obviously, we're hoping that she's totally fine and can be back next game. But what were your thoughts on her performance today in general?
Yeah, my prayers are definitely up for Soph. I think Soph finds a way to be effective no matter what. And I think most of the time it's scoring a brace, it's scoring a goal, it's scoring a hat trick. But even in games like this, when the space wasn't for the 9 back to goal, or if it wasn't central, she found it out wide and she created those moments. And I think that is a level to her game that people just don't see yet and don't appreciate. It is a huge loss. She was a part of all 3 goals. I don't know how many more times I can say it. It's a tremendous loss. Oh my gosh, I shouldn't say that. It was a tremendous loss to have her leave that game early in that way. We will put good vibes and good energy for the rest of her tournament. She's going to be great. But the injuries seem thematic here, which is something to discuss.
Yes, it is something to discuss. I am going to bring us back around to that. Lynn Williams subbed on for Soph. I was just so proud of Lynn. She started off just weeks ago, Midge, as an alternate. She was like, yeah, I almost made it, but I didn't, and that's okay, and I'll go and I'll support the team. Then a week or so later, she gets this news that she's actually replacing an injured Kat Macario on the actual roster, and now she's subbing on the field in the first half of the first game. Like, her role has gone through this huge transition in such a short amount of time, and I think she is just such a testament to staying ready for opportunities and keeping your head down. You are teammates with her at Gotham. How would you describe Lynn as I know this. I played with Lynn for so long. She's my best friend. But how would you describe her as a teammate? And just tell us what it's like to see her out there on the field.
I mean, she's living, like, my dad always said, stay ready. You don't have to get ready. Mm-hmm. And, like, Lynn stays ready. Like, she's one of those people who is unrelenting. And she's just, like, whatever you give her, she's going to make the best out of it. So, I mean, I'm so happy for her. The fact that she even got to go into the game as a 9, like, that's Lynn's true position, in my opinion. We put her everywhere. We put her on the wing because she's good on the wing and she can play there and she can serve your team so well in that position, but she is such a 9. And like getting into the Olympics in that role where I think she might say too that she feels more comfortable and probably more effective. Like, what a blessing. Good for her.
I am so thrilled for her. I'm really excited for her. Obviously hoping everybody's healthy. But Lynn got on the field and that was so exciting. We're heading into halftime 3-0. Good start. Like, what are we thinking was said in the locker room at halftime? You know, when you get in the locker room, it's like always chaos at the beginning. All the players are kind of like yelling across at each other and being like, really great job, you guys. We just have to keep doing this, but we're doing awesome. And everybody's kind of like, are we happy? Are we just like so intense? Like, What do you think was said? And then does Emma come in and kind of calm things down? Like, what do you imagine?
I don't know what Emma's doing, but I think you and I both know what's happening. You have, Mal is like, we can't stop. We gotta keep going. Yes, don't stop. Let's go. And then Crystal's like, yep, that's it. That's what we got.
I love this so much because I feel like you're exactly right. It's like, is Mal mad? But it's like, no, like she's so happy, but she's just in like intense mode. So it's like her tone is bad, but what she's saying is positive.
Tierna's like this.
And Tierna's just going, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tierna's like, can you track back, please?
And then what do you think Emma brings in?
I don't know. Honestly, I think that woman brings in whatever needs to be brought. I think she's got it on lock, and whatever she's saying to them, like she's probably refining tactics. And I think one of the things you get when you inherit the national team is you know that there is this culture of relentlessness, and that it like you don't have to go into the locker room and pump people up. You don't have to go into the locker room and tell people to get their heads up or that the job's not done yet. That is inherent in the environment, and you know that. So I think she's doing whatever she needs to do.
Yeah, for sure. Well, she also made a substitution. We saw another change with Corbin Albert replacing Rose Lavelle. Rose this is just like speculation. I'm guessing she was just on a minutes restriction because she was a late scratch in that Costa Rica send-off game due to some sort of like precautionary injury. So I am assuming it was just a minutes restriction, but I do not know any facts. The second half, Zambia kind of struggled to defend. Like they struggled to maintain possession, but we didn't score any more goals. Zambia was able to release Barbara Banda in behind a few times, but it was kind of just one player versus really an organized and disciplined back line that, unfortunately for Zambia, had Naomi Girma on it. I can see Barbara Banda giving some other teams trouble this tournament. Midge, did you think there were any moments that you like thought Zambia was going to score, or how do you see their attack as they think about their next couple games?
There were two. There was one, and I think who slid? Casey had a really good slide tackle at the end of the game, saving. I think it was a 2v2 at the end. That was about it. There were some other decent transitions, but nothing that scared me too much. And the reason of that is even when you, like, let's say you beat the back line and you get into a good position, you still have Alyssa Nair. you want to talk Avengers? It's like, okay, like you're fighting everybody. We still have the Hulk. So what now? And it's like, that's why I don't really get that nervous in those types of situations. But they had some really, really good looks, and I think they're going to be super dangerous for the rest of the tournament.
I know. I don't necessarily think that the result today is super indicative of the tournament that they could have. We're going to get to that in just a few minutes, talk a little bit more about Zambia. Back to the U.S., the second half was more muted. I mean, for being up a player, having scored 3 goals and kind of hopefully opened up those floodgates, like I was surprised that we didn't score more goals, but I do think it's interesting to think about the recovery in this tournament and moving forward. Like there's only 2 games off after this. We saw some subs come on. The midfield was actually Emily Sonnet, Sam Coffey, and Corbin Albert all together, which wasn't a combination that was really like on my bingo card for this tournament, but getting players rest is super important. Like making those subs and then also, Midge, not making full length sprinting runs when you don't need to, when you're already up 3-0. Like I'm trying to keep in mind this is hopefully a 6-game tournament. And I actually remember in 2019 at the World Cup, I was like overlapping Crystal on a counterattack when we were already beating Thailand 11-0. And Jill had to yell out at me and be like, Sam, like, can you not do this right now? Like we have more games. We can't just have you kind of wasting runs on a game that we've already won. So I wonder if that was maybe part of our performance in the second half. Do you think that's like too generous of me, Midge?
Yeah.
What do you think the problem was?
I don't know what the problem was, but I wouldn't attribute it to people wanting to like save their legs and be more reserved with their energy output. I think you lost you lost some key players who were making some
Soph
key
and
things
Rose.
happen. Yeah. And they were making some really big things happen. So I think I would attribute it to you lost some of your playmakers. And then it's also a lot of people's debut in the Olympics. You have no idea what kind of like mentality that's under. You're getting nerves out and all of that. So, and then like I said again, like you have this idea, it's subconscious, like there's nothing you can do about it, but you're a man up. So maybe in your head it should be a little bit easier. Maybe it's 3-0 and yeah, I don't know. I'm going to stop speculating because I think I gave enough options.
Well, I mean, I'm speculating it out here too, but Ginty 50's on my side. This person said, great tactical choices by Emma, protecting players for tournament football. Game was already won in the first half. So I'm not alone here.
No, that's not what you said. You said, let's be very clear.
That's what I meant.
I agree that she was protecting players. I don't think the drop off in goal production can be attributed to
players conserving their energy.
Yes.
That's totally fair.
Yeah, let me stand on business.
I agree. I think the second half left something to be desired. And look, I mean, we will have, in some ways, a more difficult and disciplined opponent in Germany coming up on Sunday. So we're going to get into that a little bit more. Before we do, let's talk one more time about the front three. I think something that I'm finding that we loved so much about the start of this game was the idea that all of them can be scorer and provider. Like, Trinity can score. Trinity can also carve up somebody 1v1 and cross. Soph was getting all these hockey assists, like you said, and actual assists. Mal is scoring goals. Mal also has a great service. She has a great corner kick. The fluidity and the ability to interchange between those top three, like we saw Soph coming out wide on the left sometimes. Trinity scored her goal from a very central position. As a forward, when you're a part of a forward line that works together like that, how does that feel on the field?
Oh, I mean, it's so rare and it takes so much time to build that. And I think you can see that with the past cycles. I mean, Alex, Pino, and Tobin, like that was a three that was just so fun to watch. They had played with each other for so long. And I think you're starting to see, even though these three haven't necessarily had this exact formation together, you really do see this relationship that's building, that is fluid. Like, I know where you're going to go. I know what you want. I know what your strengths are. And I don't have to think about it. I can just play the ball and it's really innate. So it's really cool. We can call them the big three, coin the phrase. Cool.
I love the big three. I think as a midfielder, I think about that relationship. Yes, in the midfield with, like, today it was Lindsay, Rose, and Sam Coffey, but also as that subgroup on the side that you're on. So something we saw a lot today was Lindsay Horan, who's playing that kind of 8 position in the first half on the left, Crystal Dunn playing left back, and Mal Swanson playing that left-sided winger. The relationship between those three is also really important, and that was a relationship that I thought worked really well today. We'll obviously look on the other side. It's Foxy, Rose, and Trinity. That's also a subgroup. And honestly, that's a really great combination too. Foxy actually started off a couple of our really, really early chances in this game, which is something we haven't seen as much from her lately because she's been more defensive minded as this team has kind of shifted their attack up the left-hand side. But those subgroups and the chemistry between multiple players across lines or in the same line is really, really important. It's something this team worked a lot on when I was on the team. We did just get some information in from the chat. We actually did a poll. We asked for everybody's player of the game, and the votes are in. Midge, can you take a guess?
Mal
came in second with 34% of the vote. Trinity Rodman came in third with 12% of the vote. Naomi Girma, 51%.
Oh, I can be happy for Nene. I was like, what are you guys talking about? But that's also a weird match to be like Naomi Girma when it was like only counterattacks and like I could count on my hands how many they were and none of them were like super scary and the entire back line also contributed to stuff. Like, I love Nay. I adore her to death. Weird game to pick that.
Maybe there was just such a, I mean, obviously Zambia has Barbara Banda, who's like as Emma Hayes told me at a live show I did with her at Webster Hall, the most informed forward in the world right now.
Totally.
So maybe there was this sense of these counterattacks would have been way more dangerous had Naomi and honestly, Tierna and the rest of the backline not been in such good positions to shut it down. But yeah, I mean, where Naomi stands here for sure. But I was a little bit surprised as well to not see Mal, who scored two goals to get more.
She broke a record. She broke the record for. Okay, I'm trying not to botch this. She broke the record for. You say it. I don't know.
We have it in our text. This is from OptiJack, everybody. Mallory Swanson's goals, 66 seconds apart, are the fastest 2 goals by a single player in a major tournament in U.S. women's national team history. The previous fastest was in 2 minutes and 19 seconds by Carly Lloyd in the 2015 World Cup final. Fast goals.
Yeah, I don't understand why people aren't loving this comeback story. Maybe it's because they don't know it well enough. Maybe it's because we don't have enough people storytelling womenid's soccer. Ooh, who's that at?
I think that was at it. I think that was at everybody.
Yeah, it was at everybody. Everybody's catching smoke.
Midge is just here coming for everybody. Midge, what is your biggest takeaway from our U.S. performance this game?
We have a lot to look forward to. It's going to be fun. Like, it's going to be fun. Yeah.
I love that.
This is going to be fun.
I have a couple takeaways. Emily Fox played great. I think that we could talk about Mal all day, and I would love to talk about Mal all day. Sam Coffey was also really solid. She was setting up some of our chances simply by breaking up Zambia's possession. So my summary is, like Midge, basically this was a good start. I'm happy that we scored some goals, but bigger tests await. We're looking towards Germany on Sunday, who beat Australia today 3-0 in like a very decisive victory. But before we move on with this conversation, we're going to circle back on some of those injuries. Like we mentioned earlier, Jaden Shaw was unavailable today. And then Sophia Smith went down during the game and had to be subbed off. Midge, does this worry you, like the threat of injury on this team and having a few question marks around people's health so early in the tournament?
Yeah, it's concerning. I'm concerned for my friends, and I'm concerned just like as a spectator, because you want a healthy roster, and you've already activated 2 alternates. So it's a quick tournament. And like you said, it's a quick turnaround. 2 days is honestly, in my opinion, not enough. Like, I think in a normal Brussels season, or wherever, if you're playing overseas in Europe or Mexico, wherever you are, I think you need 2 off days in a normal week. Can you please at my coach, Juan Carlos, you need 2 off days in a row, back to back, in a normal week. So 2 days in between this tournament, it's nuts.
It is nuts. We've talked a lot about this. We've done a lot of preview podcasts for this tournament, and then even a podcast previewing this game. And I think I've mentioned it in almost every single episode, this idea that the timing of the games comes so hard and fast that your performance and your recovery are like of equal importance in this tournament. But it's also kind of because the Olympics are like a sporting event. It's not the World Cup. That's a soccer tournament where like everything about it is designed around our sport. The Olympics is a really quick event. And so we kind of have to squeeze a lot of soccer into a short amount of time. But fortunately, I think the travel is hopefully not as bad as it could be. Traveling around France is maybe not as difficult as taking like a 6-hour flight across America or Brazil or another like huge country. I really want to get into Zambia a little bit. They came into this tournament with a lot going on. They're starting off with a loss. They find themselves tied for last, really, in Group B with Australia, who they are playing against on Sunday. Australia also lost today, 3-0, Twins. Zambia are a team loaded with so much talent. Emma Hayes called them the best in the world in transition. Midge, what can Zambia focus on to try to get something out of their game against Australia on Sunday? Because Australia can't really be feeling too hot right now either.
No, I think that's going to be a fantastic game to watch. I think Australia is going to struggle with Zambia's offense and that attack and that transition. I think their game plan will work. Sorry, I don't know if it will work, but I think it will be effective, and they'll definitely get a lot of looks on goal. I don't really think they need to change much.
Yeah. Last question on Zambia, Midge. I talked to Becky Sauerbrunn about this on one of those pregame podcasts that I just mentioned. I wanted to get your thoughts on it as well. Zambia's head coach, Bruce Mwape, is actually under an active investigation into sexual assault concerning a player at last summer's World Cup. I want to know what you make of this situation. There are 3 organizations that could have protected the players here: FIFA, the IOC, the Olympic Committee, and the Zambian Federation. None of them did, and this man has been allowed to come and coach this team at the Olympics. What do you make of this situation?
I think that it's not the first accusation of sexual assault from this coach. There's multiple that have been made, and in similar fashion. So, I mean, I conclude the only thing I can conclude when I'm speculating on a situation like that is that it's not good enough. I mean, I just I feel like sometimes we try to overcompensate and really try to calculate these things. Like, clearly the protocols and the protections that are in play at the moment are not good enough. And it's the players and also the FIFA official who also put up the accusation, one of the accusations, who lose out.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's such a horrible situation to put these players in. I can't believe that anybody would prioritize having a certain coach in place over the protection of the players.
You can't believe that, Sam? Yes, you can.
I mean, I say it as disbelief, and I think you're right. Like, we are accustomed to this as women in this game. It is so I can't really think of the right words, and that's why I say I can't believe it. It's deplorable. I can't imagine.
Absolutely.
I can't understand the conversations that were had by these committees and organizations that allowed this to happen. And I am so upset on behalf of the players. And yeah, I keep wanting to say I'm shocked, and you're right to call me out for saying that, because it's really not shocking. It's in line with a lot of behavior that we see all the time.
It's ingrained into this culture and value system that we currently have in the women's game. And for whatever reason, it's been so hard to unwork. We'll keep doing it.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Well, thank you for addressing that, Midge. I want to take a step back and look at some of the other games across this tournament. So
wait.
Tell me.
We need to discuss some of the fashion at the game.
Hit me. Hit me with it.
Okay. I'll let you decide where we start. We can go makeup, clothes, or hair. You choose.
Who are we talking? Who's fashion?
I'll tell you, but you got to choose the concept.
I want clothes. I want clothes.
Okay. Emma decided to sport a beige cream sweater with
monochromatic, Midge. Monochromatic is in. Let me tell you, she wore
with a matching cardigan. Well, she wore black on the bottom, but I love the sweater with the matching cardigan. I thought it was so complimentary to her blonde. I thought it really was great. Really brought out her eyes, and it was really nice to see on the side. I really like what she chose. I'm excited to see what she chooses for the next game, if she's going to stay on this beige.
Oh my gosh! Can we get an Emma outfit cam?
I would love to. I thought it looked great. And then we can transition to hair. Lindsay,
before we go off Emma, I'm wearing my orange slip-ons in honor of her orange slip-ons.
Okay, I didn't know.
She wasn't wearing Crocs. She wasn't wearing Crocs, I know. But in the Costa Rica send-off game, she had on orange slip-ons.
I didn't know where you were going with that. Okay, the honor, yeah.
Are you just going to change the subject because you're embarrassed with me?
We have honored her. I think
Love you, Emma. Okay, move us on to somebody's hair.
Lindsay, are we platinum blonde now? It was giving Targaryen. Is that what we're doing?
I love it. I love when everybody gets their hair done for the Olympics.
You have the girls. Some of the girls had the braids. You saw Training Crystal with the braids. It's a very, very reasonable choice. That's it's Olympics. It's quick. You don't want to be doing your hair all the time, but it looks pretty. It looks nice. Very great. But the platinum, I was like, it looks fresh. You got it. It looks fresh. It looks fresh because I don't even know if it's platinum. You tell me. I'm not a blonde. Well,
I'm not really either anymore, Midge. When I retired, I stopped dyeing my hair. I said, I'm just a normal person now.
Okay. Well, I actually liked it. Lindsay, she goes in between hair colors. I thought it was very brightening. And then Trinity makeup, she did a winged eye today for the game. I noticed that when very badass. Very bad. I loved it. I was just because I don't know, when I do a winged eye, we're having a little more fun, I'm a little more out there. I'm not super mysterious today. I'm going to be a little louder. So I thought she was louder. I thought a little confidence came from the winged eye. So we'll see. Prediction is she repeats the winged eye. We'll see what happens.
Well, you know what I'm also thinking is that pink hair is good luck in major world tournaments. So I'm really banking on that.
Damn.
I know. That was like the first thing I thought. I was like, you have to be like some kind of confident to have pink in your hair going into a world tournament. And I'm like, that's kind of exactly what you need.
I need you to spell it out for the audience what you're talking about, what you're referencing.
Megan Rapinoe, 2019 World Cup, dyes her hair pink. Everybody's like, you dyed your hair pink. And then she goes off at the World Cup.
This is like, have you heard of color theory?
Oh my God, no. But this is the last tangent that we're going to go down. 30 seconds on color theory, and then we're back to the soccer.
Well, I wonder this is soccer. What are you talking about? Fashion, the convergence of fashion and sport. we can't
Tell us.
No. Color theory we'll discuss on the friendlies. It will be great. It'll be great.
Okay, well, this was Midge's Fashion Minute, brought to you by Sam's Orange Crocs. Thank you for that joke, Ann Flores. I love it so much. We're going to have Midge's Fashion Minute now on every podcast we ever do with you.
Yeah, let's do it.
And maybe every podcast I ever do. Okay, so we're zooming out. We're looking at some of the other games across the tournament. Canada beat New Zealand today 2-1. I thought New Zealand had a very spirited performance. Mackenzie Berry scored the first goal of the game for New Zealand, and their goalkeeper, Annalise, actually made 7 saves. I thought she did a really, really great job. Canada's goals came from Chloe Lacasse and Evelyn Vienne. Midge, we were actually on the phone when Evelyn Vienne came on the field and scored her goal, and you called her underrated. So I want to hear a little bit about your experience with her and what you thought when she scored this game-winning goal for Canada today. It was so clutch.
She scored a number of game winners for Canada, but I played with Ev at Gotham. Like Sky Blue. Sky Blue had Evelyn, and she was not a starter. She wasn't getting a lot of time, and I have always thought that she was super underrated. She was so good in practice, like this 9 who could be back to goal and hold the ball, and you could play off her, you could spin off her. She's super strong, but also really, really, really good in and around the 18 and around that 6. And I think she's been consistent in showing that. So super happy for her.
I know I'm going to sound like I'm lying, but when I saw her subbing on the field, I was like, oh yeah, that girl's going to score. I feel like that girl always scores. Like as soon as I saw her ponytail braid, I was like, that girl's going to score.
She's such a super sub. Did you expect Canada to do better considering they had that drone?
That was my next question, Midge. You are in my brain. I want to know what you make of dronegate. I'm going to give some context really quick. If you haven't heard, Canada has had to send 2 coaches home, and their head coach recused herself from this game today because there was this scandal where somebody was flying a drone over New Zealand's practice, allegedly, like, I don't know if it was alleged or it's probably proven to be true, filming New Zealand's practice. And it's illegal to like fly drones in this area. So this person, an unaccredited staff member for Canada, is like in trouble with the French law and got sent home. It's been this whole scandal about Canada. They have to undergo ethics training. Midge, do you think this was like a distraction for them? I don't actually think that they performed that well. I do think this was a distraction for them, but I think the whole thing is so unexpected and wild.
I know, it's really, it's out of this world. I didn't know you could recuse yourself from a soccer match, from a football match. You could just recuse yourself. I didn't know that was a thing. It's so wild. And it's so like, let's do conspiracy theories. Let's say it was in fact intentionally cheating. Did you think they weren't going to see the drone? Like, I'm just confused. I'm confused that like drones are loud.
Yeah. I don't know what they were thinking.
Like cheat better. I'm just,
I don't know what they were thinking.
Call Bill Belichick. You know.
Enough.
Don't tell me you don't. Okay.
This is going off the rails now. You've gone too far, Midge.
All right, let's roll it in.
But it is wild. And I think that any huge scandal in the media, especially one that makes your coach step away from the game, is a huge distraction. Were you able to watch them in this game? I know you had PT today, but I don't think that Canada was like crushing it. I think that they created a lot more chances than New Zealand and deserved to win the game. But I am worried about them for the remainder of the tournament.
Why?
Because I don't think they did that well today. I don't think that they looked that sharp. And I'm wondering if this scandal in the media with dronegate is going to be too much of a distraction for them.
Oh, I'm sure it's a distraction. I'm sure it's playing a part, but I don't know. I feel like the Olympics, the tournament format is so wacky that I think literally anything can happen once you get out of the group stage and you can just rise. I mean, they won last time.
I know.
So I don't remember
Defending
them
gold medalists.
I want to say did they start off really high? I don't remember. To be honest, I don't remember. So I can't say.
They scored a lot of their goals on penalty kicks. I don't think that they were scoring a lot of goals in the run of play. And some players for them did do well. We've been talking about Evelyn Vienne. I thought Jessie Fleming had a great game. So maybe they can turn around their performance. They won the game. So I'm overreacting again, but we'll see what happens. Another game that went on today, Spain beat Japan 2-1. This was an incredible game. I was really, really excited to watch this. Spain are defending world champions, been like the best team in the world for the last at least year. And Midge, your Gotham team are also defending NWSL champions. What kind of pressure? Spain, I know, I brought it in. I breathed that Gotham championship right in here. What kind of pressure is on the defending champions? Like, how does that kind of change the way a team is feeling heading into a big event?
Well, the few games that I rostered for Gotham this year as a defending champion, I felt no pressure. No. It wasn't a sympathy grab. No, I was providing context. I honestly felt no pressure. I think that the coolest thing, at least for me personally, that I got from winning the championship is I was like, I want to do it again. Like, you have that drive. So I don't know if they're feeling pressure versus I feel like you kind of have a little swag. You're just like, yeah, we're the returners. We got this. I know how to do it. We've done it. Let's do it again. I know it's hard. I'm not saying that it's not. It's going to take a lot of work, but that like we are them. Yeah. So I don't know. I've seen the ways, like if I'm Spain and I'm playing the way that they have played in the past, I'm like, yeah, we're them. Like, come beat us. They were shocking in the first 15 minutes, I would say. I was like, oh, I expected them to be just a tad more dominant than they were. Mm-hmm. And I say that, and I love the way Japan plays. And I have so much respect for the way Japan plays. And I think they are so good and so hard to play against. But I still expected Spain to be like bopping around just like a little bit more.
Yeah, they definitely figured it out as the game went on. Japan went up 1-0 on an incredible free kick. And then Aitana Bonmati got one back and then assisted Mariona Caldente to get the second one back. They kind of then retained control of the game throughout the rest of the game. They ended up winning 2-1. We also had Brazil beat Nigeria 1-0. That game was really, really open. We saw, actually, I don't know if I have the score. France beat Colombia, right? I know it was 3-2, and then we started this live. Can anybody in the chat help us out here? France beat Colombia 3-2. Thank you guys so much. Then I mentioned this earlier. The U.S.'s next opponent, Germany, beat Australia 3-0. I thought this was like kind of old school soccer, Midge. They scored like towering headers directly off of corner kicks, which like, I don't know why, but it kind of makes me think it's just like, yeah, like this is the easiest, like you just do it. You just score this, boot the ball in the middle and have somebody like jump up and head it in. Like it just seemed, I don't know, kind of like a throwback. Marina Hagerang and Leah Schuler scored those goals. Germany looked solid, but Australia didn't really like look alive out there. So kind of like I felt about Canada, who I expected just a little bit more fire from. I was a little bit disappointed in Australia. Midge, did you see anything today, any team's performances or goals or anything, results that like really surprised you?
Nothing that really surprised me per se. I think most of the things I was like, yeah, okay, it is what it is. Yeah. I feel I'm not really that invested in other countries' performances emotionally. So yeah, nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I think Australia's lack of performance kind of surprised me. I do have one plug for you though, Midge. We were really, really excited. I'm excited to hear more about the off season. So can you tell us about it? Tell us what it is. Tell us when it's coming out, when we can watch, how we can watch. Basically, just tell us everything.
Oh my gosh, it's so fun. The show is like completely done, so I can't wait to show everybody. But it's 6 episodes, 30 minutes, and then I have a bunch of behind the scenes that I can't wait to get into everybody's hands. But all in all, it's 11 players in the Brussels right before preseason, the most important time in your off season when you are trying to train to get to your peak fitness and performance that you can come win a starting spot on your team. Because as you know, Sam, those starting spots are not given. And you see people suit up every year and say, oh, of course they're starter. No. You have to earn it in preseason, or at least where I am. You have to earn it. Anywho, we take that really, really important time frame and we stick 11 players in one house living together. Your last hurrah of the offseason, have a good time, but also prepare for what's going to be a crazy, crazy year. And we filmed the whole thing. And it is the most authentic, fun storytelling moment for a lot of players. I myself, like watching it back, I couldn't believe that these were women that I knew. And there were so much of their stories that I did not know. And like, I look at them through a completely new lens of like respect. Yeah. And then there's a villain. I don't know if I don't want to ruin it. Like, maybe you won't like everybody. Maybe you'll walk away and be like, I don't really like her that much. I actually like her less.
This is like Summer House, but it's like Soccer House.
Yes.
Did you consider calling it Soccer House?
I didn't. That's actually brilliant marketing. Put it on a t-shirt right now. I love it.
Are we the merch girls? Put it on a t-shirt. Merch girls.
Call Raj right now. Merch girls, even better t-shirt. Put it on a t-shirt. Give it to me in a crop top. I need it.
Oh my God. I can't.
But yeah. It's
okay, incredible. And you executive produced this show. It's a reality show and it's coming out on X this summer.
It is reality docuseries. It's a new genre. I'm marrying the two. I have to say that because it's true. And because one of the big, like the driving force behind the show was to introduce to a new audience, like, look at these insane athletes that you guys don't know about. And like, this is what it's like to actually be a professional athlete. Like, we're pulling away any glitz and glam. We're de-romanticizing it and we're showing you the raw experience of what it is. Watch this girl go through a trade in the off season. You have no idea what that's like. Watch this other person maybe get injured right before her preseason and not know what to do. Watch the storylines. It's great.
Well, I'm so excited for you. That is really, really incredible. I can't wait to watch and I can't wait to figure out who this villain is. We have one more update before we get to all of your questions. Make sure you're getting those in from the Athletics' Meg Linehan on Twitter. Emma Hayes said no one updated her yet regarding Sophia Smith and that both she and Jaden Shaw will be assessed once they're back in camp in Marseille. So no news is hopefully good news, and hopefully both of them are totally fine. We are going to take some of your questions now. We've reached the part of the show. We get to hear from you, our listeners. To join us here live on YouTube, scan the QR code in the top left of your screen or click on the pinned comment in the chat. That will take you into a Zoom with our producer, Tony, who can tell you everything you need to know. Don't worry, you're not going to appear on screen. For those of you who don't want to ask a question, just do us a huge favor. Give us a like. It helps a lot more than you know. Up first, we are going to have the listener take themselves off mute, tell us where they're from and what's your question. First up, we have Sarah Judd from Boise, Idaho. Sarah, take yourself off mute.
Wow. Hi, guys.
Hi, Sarah.
Hey.
Midge, I'm also a Harvard alum, so go Crème.
Go Crème. Yes. What house?
I have 2 questions. Oh, Kirkland.
Nice.
Yeah. 2 questions. One is a football question and one is not a football question. So starting it off easy, I know you two would probably love to be in France at the Olympics. If you were there, what would be your go-to French bakery order?
Oh my gosh. This riles me up a little bit. Okay, Sarah. I have vivid memories from 2019. Whenever we'd have like a couple of hours off, Abby Dahlkemper and I would go and get a coffee and just like a baguette with butter at like the local bakery. And you didn't even really have to like order it. Like you'd kind of just sit down and they'd like bring you your coffee and then like butter and bread. It was like, to this day, like one of my favorite things ever in the whole world. But if I was just at like kind of a pastry bakery, I think I'd get an almond croissant, Midge. What about you?
Oh, I was just in the south of France. It was lovely.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I would
you
have,
were.
I would have a lava cake or a creme brulee.
Oh my God, I love creme brulee.
It's delicious.
Sarah, what would you get?
I would probably get one of those bougie little fruit tart things. That I've never
No
been.
offense, no offense, Sarah, but like I like kind of don't support that.
Oh, I do. Those are great.
I'm not
know.
offended. I feel confident in my decision.
Oh my gosh, good. You go, girl. Okay, tell us your soccer question.
My soccer question. It felt like it didn't take that much to get a card. I know maybe the red like goal scoring opportunity, but even the yellows felt a little soft. Do you agree? And if so, like, do you feel like this sets the tone for the rest of reffing in this Olympics? Like, is this the direction we're headed in?
That's a great question. Do you mean from the US game or from the whole day?
Well, I only watched the US game. I'm unfortunately kind of actually working today. I canceled my one-on-one with my manager to ask you this question.
I love that so much. You know what? I think that it's a tough question. I think the red, unfortunately, is like written down in the rule book and it's a little bit less subjective than some of the yellows. I think yellows in tournaments always are really difficult for me because what they add up so quickly and they're such a harsh punishment if you accumulate them. So I'm not really like placing any cards that I completely disagreed with, but I was also, trying to watch 6 games throughout the whole day and maybe I missed one. Midge, did anything stand out to you about yellow cards?
I think there was only one. It was Trins, right?
Well, Trin got a yellow card, and then I don't know the Zambia player who got a yellow card like a minute after, but it felt like they had to give her a yellow card because they gave Trin a yellow card, and they both felt a little like.
No, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. But that may just be because we're so accustomed. Never mind. I was going to say something crazy.
Mitch just checked herself. She remembered this was live and she checked herself, and that's all right. Sarah, that was a really good question. I'm sorry that we didn't give you a more direct answer. We have some people in the comment saying, TR says, yep, just got to adjust play to what the ref is calling. But you also have someone agreeing with you. Finn Max says, LOL caller, I feel you. So maybe there were some questionable calls in there, and hopefully the rest of the tournament is, I would venture to say, light on the yellow so we don't see a lot of players sitting out. But Sarah, it was so nice to hear from you.
Too.
Yeah, it was so nice to hear from you, and I hope you go and get a fruit tart soon.
I hope so too. Good talking to y'all.
Thank you so much for calling in. Okay, up next, we have Margie Carter, whose comment I think I read aloud earlier, but I forget what it said. She's from, actually, Margie, you tell us where you're from.
It's hard to pronounce. It's Tuscola.
Oh, Tuscola. Thank you, Margie.
Tuscola, Illinois. Yeah, it's just like central Illinois. It's not Chicago. So
amazing, Margie. What's your question?
So actually, you answered 2 of my questions already. No, 3 of my questions already. And I had to keep commenting, and it was like, okay, she already answered my questions. I have another one. So my question / comment was kind of you guys were talking about the injuries that with Rose and with Jaden. But I was just wondering if you guys had read Emma's book, Kill the Unicorn. I'm a youth soccer coach, have been since my girls were like in kindergarten. But in it, she like talked about doing this deep dive about the research behind women's injuries and their hormones, specifically like where they are in their cycle. And so like every time I watch her interviews and she talks about, I'm not going to take any risks. When like Rose didn't play in the friendlies, that's what I always think about is, I wonder if that's like some part of where her head is, that, she can't risk these players getting injured, because of these outside factors.
Yeah, I think that when, early on in a tournament, even like maybe perhaps Rose was on a minutes restriction today. She was a late scratch in last week's game against Costa Rica, sitting Jaden Shaw. Again, I don't know anything. This is purely speculation, but I think that Emma certainly is showing that she's being really cautious with players' health. It's a long tournament. Midge, sorry, Margie, I wonder if I missed your question a little bit, or was that kind of along the lines of what you were asking?
Well, it was just sort of, well, you answered 3 of my questions already during the live.
Sounds like we have a good show here.
My yeah. So it's more of a kind of adding to the discussion about and just speaking of the brilliance of Emma Hayes, and like that she as a coach isn't just looking at the game, she's thinking about these outside things. And I know injuries in women's soccer have been a huge issue, but I think when you have a coach like Emma, and like if other coaches kind of follow that track, that it could change, because women's bodies are different than men's bodies.
Yeah, for sure. I've actually heard a lot about Emma Hayes just really wanting to track like women's menstrual cycles and being really like responsive to the needs of women specifically. I know most of studies done in football are based off of like a certain weight white male, and it's like obviously those studies and that research doesn't directly apply to women's soccer and to the female body. So I think Emma's actually been really forthcoming in her desire to have more research done, to implement a lot more like techniques and information that is specific to women. So I totally agree with you. I think that even just the way she's been dealing with some of these like last minute injuries shows that she's thinking long-term about these women. And that's for sure a good thing. I think we have time just for one more question. So we're going to go to Olivia. Margie, thank you so much for calling in. Olivia, if you can take yourself off mute and tell us where you're from and ask your question.
Hey, it's Olivia. I'm coming from Boston, Massachusetts. Shout out Massachusetts.
Wow. Were you mad when Midge threw shade at Bill Belichick too?
No, because I'm originally from New Jersey, so go Bats.
Oh, and was it shade?
It wasn't shade. It wasn't shade.
Yeah,
That was
shade if it's truthful.
Yeah,
that was a slingshot. I expected to gang up on Midge, and now it turns out I'm getting ganged up on. So I'm going to shuffle us right along, Olivia. Ask us your question.
Yeah, I want to know, little positive like prediction question here. I want to know, how many trin spins do you think we will witness in this whole tournament?
Wow. Well, what qualifies as a trin spin? Any trickery and getting around a defender from trin?
Yeah. When she kind of just like does a little sneak out.
Yeah.
And I think you know it when you see it,
I feel that. Midge, what's your prediction?
4.
4.
Are we counting today's?
Yeah.
Yes.
4.
I think so. I like 4. I'm just gonna go 5 just to blow this chat up.
We got some tension going. It's fine. 5.
Olivia, what do you think?
I think upwards of both of those numbers. Hopefully we're going to see many more games. So I'm going to go with like 12.
Oh my gosh, Olivia. I hope so.
She can do it.
Incredible. Well, those were incredible questions. Sarah, Margie, Olivia, thank you so much for calling in. We really, really appreciate it. I wish that we could get to more questions, but we are going way over time. So that just about does it for us here. Midge, you are such a legend for doing this with us. Before we let you go, we need one more thing, not necessarily like a score prediction, but one thing you think we're going to see in this upcoming game against Germany on Sunday. It could be 12 trin spins. It could just be 3. It could be a Mal Swanson goal. It could be Emma Hayes breaking out the orange Air Force Ones or even orange Crocs. I don't know if she's watching what I'm wearing. Magic 8 ball, one event for Sunday's game.
I think you will see a true, I know what the fans voted today, but a true Naomi Girma MVP performance.
Oh, hey.
Uh-huh.
I love that. Okay, well, I am so excited. Don't forget, we are going to be previewing the Germany game. We're actually dropping a pregame podcast with Georgia Stanway ahead of the U.S. Women's National Team's next game against Germany on Sunday. You will find that here or wherever you get your podcasts the day before. So it will be dropping on Saturday. I wanted to make sure that everybody is subscribed to this Women's Game YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our other content. All of our podcasts are available on here, including that podcast with Georgia Stanway. We will then be going live after that Germany game with none other than Roger Bennett, who's had a mention or two. I'm going to be giving him a call about all of our ideas, Midge. You can also follow along with us across all of our social channels, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and even Threads at Women's Game MIB. Midge, thank you so much for joining me here today. This was so much fun.
Thank you so much for having me, Sammy. It was a joy.
It was such a joy. I'm Sam Mewis. This is the Women's Game. Thank you so much for being here with us, the Merch Girls.
That was